Hey folks, Mr. Quinn here with another IXL talk through video. Today we're going to be looking at a skill that has to do with finding the area of rectangles, but we're also going to be looking at the flip side or the reverse of that, where we're trying to find a missing side length. So we're going to go over an example of each, so hopefully that helps you. The biggest thing that I need you to start with is understanding area. So hopefully we remember area is referring to that shaded part, that scribbling I'm doing inside of that rectangle. We really need to be mindful of that. We need to know that that is what we are talking about when we say area. And hopefully you also know that we find area using a formula. And all a formula really is an algebraic equation. You should be really familiar with those. In this case, A, the capital letter, stands for area. And then we're going to use two lowercase variables, L and W. Now, in between that L and the W, there is a multiplication sign. It's invisible because a letter next to a letter, just like a letter next to a number in math, means multiplication. Now, we also need to know what L and W represent. And I want you to think for a second, what could that be? Hopefully that second helped you remember that L stands for the length and W stands for the width. Now, when we look at a shape, it is not super important that we know specifically, oh, this one is definitely the length, oh, this one is the width. We just have to remember that they're different. So if I decide that I'm always going to use my horizontal as my length, then I always need to use my horizontal as my length. If I decide that I'm going to use the vertical as my width, then I need to use my vertical as the width. And then we're just going to be doing some simple multiplication. 5 times 4, which is, hopefully you said 20. I'm really confident that you would be able to say 20. So we're going to hit submit, and we were able to get that question correct. So I'm going to go ahead and do a little bit of erasing here. Get rid of what I have. That looks awesome. And I'm actually going to do a little bit of skipping ahead now because I want to see where we have to find a missing side. That's still, I'm given a length and a width, which means I'm finding area. And you'll understand what I mean when we get to that next question. Still a length and a width, that means I'm finding area by multiplying. Still a length and a width, which means I'm finding my area by multiplying. And still a length and a width, which means I'm finding my area by multiplying. I'm guessing we're going to see that missing side when we get to the challenge zone. And here we go. We're at 87, so almost there. This is where things get different. And it still starts, though, with that formula. A equals length times width. So let's take a second to fill in what we know. I see that I know I have a width of 3. But I have a question mark up here, and it even says, what is the length? So I don't know what my length is. So I have length times 3, and it needs to equal, look, that inside, remember that scribbling I did? It needs to equal 18. So I'm going to use algebra to solve this. Just like we would in class, I'm going to draw my line. I see multiplication. Remember the inverse operation, the opposite operation? I'm going to use division. I'm going to divide by 3 on both sides, and I'm going to end up finding a value for L, which 18 divided by 3, either you do it in your head or you use a calculator, either is okay. Hopefully you got 6, and you are going to click. You're going to submit that answer, and you are going to get that answer correct. So if you're given length and width, you're going to multiply. If you're missing a length or you're missing a width, that's where you're going to use algebra and you're going to do a little bit of division. Hope this tutorial helps. I know you guys are going to do a great job.